Okay, let's talk about intimacy and creating and finding an intimate man. And the first thing I'd like to do is reframe this. And I've just spent 24 hours with my friend Teresa. And she's in the process. She's 70 years old, wonderful woman. And she's in the process of kind of a 10-year mission to develop deep intimacy with men. And her conclusion is that there are no men ready and able to have intimacy, except me, which is not the case. So I want to just walk you through the little maze that we unraveled with Teresa this weekend. So Teresa has been working with Abraham, a very popular channel these days. And and that's been working beautifully to her. It's actually one of the things that we spent some time 10 years ago, and now she's kind of circling back and honoring the depth and the time that we spent. And that's partly because of the work and the healing that she's doing with channeling and metaphysics and all of that. And she has a couple of men in her life right now, but one is a great lover and not at all apparently interested in love or intimacy, and the other is hesitant and not, and more of a friend, possibly more. And so this is her kind of situation. And when we were talking, because I also worked with the channel Lazarus significantly, and there were some bumps in that relationship. And every time I talked about those bumps, which have some pain around them, she would say, but don't you think, And I would always feel like my feelings didn't matter, and that my opinion was invalidated, because we were doing the normal American conversation, which never pauses to let in the emotion. And to cut a long story short, here is what happened. Teresa listened. She rewound and honored the feelings. She listened. She validated the emotion. I relaxed. I went deeper. She validated the emotion. I relaxed and went deeper. And then I felt satisfied, like someone has heard me, which creates a generosity and a sense of fullness. And because we had explored one of the reasons that she was jumping in all the time was that no one's listening to her. So as soon as I felt that fullness, I steered the conversation to listen to her. And then she felt full. And we both went deeper. And so this was the highlight of our visit, the seeing, the being seen, the going deeper. And this was a breakthrough for Teresa, because in her world, no men want to go deep. And what I reframed is that, Teresa, I don't think any man would want to go deep with you when they share a vulnerable feeling and you want to respond without the feeling, my feeling being the number one focus of that time. And so I think there are many men that are used to not going very deep, and many women who are used to not going very deep. And that in order for anyone in this culture who has been talked over literally thousands of times to choose a new path requires being in the presence of a person with one very specific quality, and a very unusual quality. And that's the quality of putting feelings first. I said, I don't know many good men in the presence of a woman who puts their feelings first, who wouldn't over time go deeper. And I don't know any man, including myself, who every time they share a feeling, here's a "but don't you think" before anything is validated, that will continue down the road of depth. And Teresa said, well, I don't like to see people suffer, and I want to help people get past, and I want to do this, and I want to share my truth. And I said, Teresa, you have to make a decision, because that's a very noble and beautiful intention. And if you do this, you will share your ideas, your truth, uninvited, meaning the times that you've said and but and what about this and what about that. I've just shared a feeling. I've never said, please tell me what Abraham says about this or what, whatever. I've just shared the feeling. And I don't want to keep sharing feelings when the response is always, but what about? But I think. But don't you think? I want to share feelings in one environment, in an environment where someone cares about my feelings. In an environment where someone cares about my feelings. That's the only environment that I want to share my feelings, because I care about my feelings, and because it hurts when someone else doesn't care about my feelings. And this is statistics. If you take 1,000 women and 1,000 men, and you put half of them in an environment where they're invited to share their feelings, and every time they do, they're argued with, judged, criticized, ignored, minimized, and deflected. And you take the other half of the men and women, and in every case, the feeling is, tell me more. That sounds painful. That sounds exciting. Wow. Tell me more. I want to hear that joy. Wow. That's beautiful. I love that. Thank you for telling me. Wow. That's scary. Yeah, I would be scared too in that situation. That does sound scary. You have a point there. I understand the point that you're making, and what's the emotion behind that point? You're angry, gosh, and is there a memory that you're, oh, okay. So I would imagine that would be maddening. You know, you've had this and this and this and this, and it links in with this, so I get it. And I am here for your feelings. The 500 men and women, statistically, that are with a listener, with an ambiance, with an audience of either gender that cares about the feeling and that invites as much emotion with safety, with validation, with care, with compassion, with joy, with celebration, with honor, that invites the feeling. You're going to have happy people. You're going to have people that are more present in the moment. You're going to have people who go deeper. You're going to have people who like you and are attracted to that listener more than the 500 that have the opposite. And this is parallel to truth, meaning it doesn't matter if you interrupt someone to tell them the truth. It doesn't matter if you interrupt someone to tell them a lie. If you interrupt them without validation, or you respond after they've finished without taking in anything of what they've said or letting it change you, there's no flow. Relationship, when you are in flow and when you are in relationship, you are changed by the other person and they are changed by you. If that's not happening, there's no flow. That is the magic and the chemistry of relationship, relating. Is energy goes over here, and when it comes back, and when it goes forward, and when it comes back, it's different. I'm different because of you, and that's how I honor you. I care more about your feelings because you've shared them with me. I value you more because of your feelings and your vulnerability. I'm going to change my behavior because I honor you. Because I feel and care about the pain in your eyes, about always being interrupted, I'm going to kick that habit of jumping in before you're finished because I care about you. And because you are changed by that, because you see my care, because you see that I've stopped interrupting you because I care, because you see that, and because you let in the significance of that I've risen above my wound of never being heard, so I'm always going to jump in and I'm never going to let them have the last word. Like, I'm busy in my wound and I'm busy medicating, but I've stepped above my wound to care for you. And I see that, and it's beautiful. And I am going to do that for you. I'm also going to step above, even easier now because you've led the way. I'm going to step above my wound and care about you. And Teresa got it. And there's lots of different thoughts and ideas about what should be. But the bottom line is this: in deep emotional friendships or romantic relationships, if we do not care about the experience of our impact on another, if we don't care about their feelings first, we have no business being in relationship with them. If your feelings are going down consistently around me, and particularly if you're communicating that and I'm not responding in a way that helps them go up, you have no business associating with me. It's not self-love. And I have no business relating to you. The people that have business being in relationship with one another are the people who care enough about each other to respond and dance in a certain way where both people's well-being goes up. It is a dance. And if you're tangoing with someone and you don't care about their feet and you stamp all over them, you don't have any business dancing with that person. It's a process of honoring the emotion. And so it's not ultimately about what's true or what's right, or whether you're right or they're right. It's about the emotion. If you want to be in depth, into me you see, if you want to see into one's depth, if you want the great honor and privilege of being seen, emotions come first. Feelings need respect. They need gentle honoring and massage. If that disgusts you, if you're filled with judgment and rage and righteousness and hate and depression and exhaustion and boredom, you don't have business being in relationship with that person. It's fine to have those feelings. They may be doing things that play on all your wounds and ideals and all of that. It's just never going to go deep. No one is ever going to change when they won't even open up to you. And no one is going to open up without being loved and seen and validated as they are. So I thought I'd share that piece of my learning, because I took what I just shared with Teresa and reflected on it. And I went back to my partner and I applied it. I looked at the areas that she was most sensitive. I looked at the areas that I was not fully inviting. I looked at the areas that I was more interested in growth or being right or stuff, and was stepping over her feelings rather than honoring her feelings. And I apologized. And I listened. And I listened some more. And I loved. And I validated. And I appreciated. And I didn't get to be right, and I didn't make any great progress. I just had the great honor of being with a partner who trusts me more, to open up, and in that opening, have the great honor of loving and seeing the beauty and the pain, seeing it all and being naked together. There are thousands of men and women in America within a mile, within an hour's drive of many of us, who have never had one person listen to them with that kind of honor. Or if they have, it's been hours of their life and many years ago. There are thousands of people who have never been listened to. They've been preached to, they've been told a thing or two, they've been criticized, they've been interrupted, they've been lied to, they've been betrayed, they've been hurt, they've been abandoned, they've felt small, they've been told they shouldn't feel that way. They've been told to grow up, to get a life. They've been told 1,000 different things in 1,000 different ways that all boil down to the same message. Your feelings do not matter enough for me to change, to honor you, to listen to you, to care about you, and to learn about you. I'm too busy. It doesn't fit into my current paradigm. I don't agree with it. I'm not going to just listen. I want to do all the talking, or I'm going to have my say. Thousands. And every one of those people with the right skill, with the right person, with the right attitude and care, and the choice to put their feelings first, would slowly or quickly open up to profound levels of intimacy. Now that's a gray area, and time is a gray area, and I'm not recommending, spending months of misery with someone, trying to give them enough so that they can give you something you need. I'm just saying that if you want a person to open up, man or woman, it's not that hard if they give you the time and the presence. They may not give you the time and the presence, but if they give you the time and the presence, and you listen, and you validate, and you care, and you respond, and you show interest, and you want to be there, people light up, because many of us have not had that happen to us for a long time. So what's the challenge? The challenge is that precisely because so few of us have received that, so many of us are looking for that. And when you get two people wanting to be heard, it's difficult. One of the things that is really working well for, in this case, Teresa, is letting her spirit, letting her guides, her unseen friends love and heal and adore her and give her and fill the well of listening that less than 1% of humans have done for her, so that she has a place of abundance to offer a quality of listening that very few people have, a quality, an inner capacity to give. So I'm going to close with that, and I want to honor Teresa, and I want to honor men and honor women who are working through this dance of paradigms and relationship to move towards an intimacy that feels good. Because if intimacy doesn't feel good, and when you're judged and criticized and interrupted and argued with, it doesn't. So that intimacy can feel good enough to come together again. And in that together, do the thing that is ultimately the most satisfying. Ultimately, the most satisfying for every human heart is to love and be loved, which begins by seeing and being seen.